you, Wani. Eloquently articulated. As it was on speech to articulate how Black lives matter together. All about Black lives. Thank you, Wani. Now I want to introduce Cindy McAvoy from West Papua.
Thank you. First and foremost, I want to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land in which we are gathering here today and for this event to be made possible. The Boon Wurrung and Woiwurrung peoples of the Kulin Nation, and we pay our respects to them, their culture, their elders, past, present and emerging. And this is very important. We recognize that sovereignty is never ceded.
Yes!
My name is Cindy McAvoy, and I'm a proud Indigenous Black West Papuan Melanesian student. And thank you, warriors of the Aboriginal resistance, for giving me this opportunity to speak about the systemic racism and injustice that the West Papuan people are also facing. And it's an honor and privilege to be this voice for my voiceless brothers and sisters back home.
You got this, you got this. 100%. Preach, preach!
With the reason
You can do it, girl. Yeah.
with what happened recently in America and here in Australia, it just reminds me deeply of what's happening to my people back home. You may not ever heard of West Papua, and today might be your first time, but I encourage you to really research into West Papua. We are your closest neighbour. We are just north of Darwin. We're your mom.
Come on, Cindy.
You got it, girl!
And what has happened in the States to the murder of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Alvin Arbery, and here in so-called Australia, Titania Day, David Dungy, and the horrible killing of a young Kumanjari Walker, and others more that are documented and undocumented. In West Papua, their names will be Eden Babari and Ronnie Wandi. These two young university students were shot dead recently this year by the Indonesian security forces whilst they were out fishing to provide for their families during this pandemic. And to this day, their perpetrators are still walking free and have not been held accountable for their crimes. The inhuman way in which George Floyd's life was taken reminded me of an incident in July 2016 in West Papua, where a young Black Indigenous West Papuan man named Obi Kogoya, whose head was stepped on, knee to the head by the police before he was arrested during a siege of a Papuan student dormitory in Yogyakarta, Indonesia. So West Papua resonates with the Black communities in the States and here and with our Indigenous communities and everywhere else in the world, because we feel your pain, we feel your anger, we feel your loss, because those are our brothers and sisters too, those are our mothers, those are our uncles, those are our aunties that have been brutalized. These inexcusable cases of inhuman treatment of police brutality and Black deaths in custody are nothing new to West Papuans. The fact that there are more than 400 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people that have died in custody is heartbreaking, because none of these lives should have been lost in the first place. West Papuan empathize with you. We understand and share those feelings of loss and pain, your anger and your everyday struggle against systemic racism. Because for 58 years under the Indonesian colonial rule and military occupation, Black Indigenous Papuans have suffered institutional and systematic racism and gross human rights violations, where Indonesian security forces have been committing widespread abuse rape, and killings. Soldiers torture and murder villagers in the highlands of West Papua, but you don't hear of these in the news because the media are banned. The international journalists are banned from reporting these and entering West Papua. Shame! These gross human rights abuses and violations since the Indonesian occupation have resulted in more than 500,000 indigenous West Papuan lives lost at the hands of the Indonesian government and its security forces, to a point where human rights groups have called it the slow motion genocide in the Pacific.
Shame!
So right now I want you to raise your left fist with me, and when I say free, you say West Papua. Free!
West Papua!
Free!
West Papua!
Free!
West Papua!
When you said free West Papua, the Indonesian Authority will consider you as a separatist. That's how the Indonesian government has labeled the cause since the colonial rule of 58 years. What you just chanted was exactly what thousands of West Papuans did last year in August at the uprising. It was the island's biggest nationwide protest in history. The scenes of protest in America right now, the scenes of protest in America right now to demand justice for George Floyd's death was similar to the uprising in West Papua. The uprising protest was in response to a racist harassment of West Papuan students in Surabaya, Indonesia, where the indigenous security forces and mobs taunted the students with racial slurs such as monkeys outside of the students' dormitory. And yesterday, 7 political West Papuan prisoners were sentenced to 5, 10, 15, and 17 years of jail time. And their crime were protesting against racism and demanding self-determination for West Papua in last year's uprising. Shame! While those Indonesian security forces that committed racial slurs and violent acts against West Papuan students in Surabaya only received 6 months of jail time. This clearly showed the Indonesian judiciary system are biased and institutionally racist against black indigenous West Papuans. And as perpetrators, those Indonesian security forces will always walk free because of the impunity in Indonesian judiciary system.
Shame!
Shame!
My mother, Paula Makaboria, was Papuan and an executive of the United Liberation Movement for West Papua, who's here with me today. Please give it up for her. She has said that racism, torture, and other human rights abuses are daily bread in West Papua. And that you can name every single type and form of racial discriminations and crimes for every corner of the world. Indigenous West Papuans have experienced them all under Indonesia's colonial rule and military occupation in West Papua. With the Morning Star flag, you might have seen it, you will receive 15 years in jail just for raising it. We Papuans are the oppressed people in our own ancestral land, and we can understand with our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders mobs here.
Did you want my name on
However,
this on Facebook?
we are going to take back our ownership of our land. We are going to take back our birthright and life and the right to live of human rights. We can't be stereotyped as separatists because we are freedom fighters to free our people and land from colonialism and all of its manifestations. West Papuans are being exterminated in our own land. This is the genocide of the West Papuan people. Freedom is not an alternative choice. It is a necessity for West Papuans, or else we will be erased from our own land. And on behalf of the West Papuan people here today, we urge you to raise your voices to help stop these ongoing atrocities from West Papua. We ask that you pressure Indonesia to allow a fact-finding mission and foreign journalists into West Papua now. And to our allies of this movement, we urge you to speak up, use your privilege, and be vocal about racial discrimination and the violence that Black people have long endured. Our conversation now, fight for change in this racist system that constantly oppresses Black identified people of color. And as Martin Luther King said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So let's rise up and stand up together to challenge the system to gain justice.